that's what I call this slide, because that's really the question that you may often be asked. Why do you want to work in this field? Okay, just a little bit about myself. I'm a Security Plus. I have GAC certification. I also have the, next on deck. And I think as it was said, that if you don't want to learn, you have to, this is not the business for you. Truly, this is not the business for you. I've already taken the GCIH. I need to take the test now. Next on deck for me will be Certified Ethical Hacker. And then, of course, the granddaddy of all certifications, CISSP. And I plan to do all those three things within the next year. Okay? So, pretty lofty, hefty certifications. Certainly have to have your head screwed on correctly. And Pat, I'm sure, will give you a lot more information on what these actually mean and how they can benefit you in your career moving forward. Thank you. So where do you start? Where did I start? I took this common road. Okay, first thing I did, and it's volunteer. Volunteer, I mean, it builds character. That's the first thing I say, because you're not doing it for money. It's easy to say I'm doing this because I'm getting paid a nice amount of money. Okay, but the first thing I did when I got into this business is that I volunteered. Before I joined in BDPA, I was part of an organization when I worked for a small nonprofit called Empower. And that organization helped other small nonprofit organizations with their technology needs. So if there was a church, or let's say a daycare center or a senior center that had some technology challenges but could not afford to bring in a consultant or a company to resolve those issues, Empower would have projects where it said, hey, we need a small network set up for this center. Can you go and help them out? And you go and volunteer and you help them out with their technology needs. It's usually about once or twice a year for like maybe 2 or 3 hours. It's usually you and a group of people, so it's not you by yourself. So I thought that was good. It made me feel good when people say, hey, we had these things we were given because of our grant money, and we just didn't know how to use them, how to leverage them. Okay? So that made me feel good. So, and that's also a resume builder. So when you're talking about starting in this industry, you may have your schooling, and that's fantastic, but what practical experience do you have? Okay? So that'll often be a speaking point. One thing you can point to is your volunteer. I'm volunteer, I did this, I did that. That's great. So where you can do the volunteers, churches, daycare centers, small businesses. That's your small paying gigs. Family, friends, co-workers, neighbors. What this will give you, in my opinion, is hands-on experience. Because most of the time you won't be dealing with security in the sense that you would in the corporate setting, but you'll get an idea of the kinds of things that you'll be working with in information technology in general. Okay? That's where your small paying gigs come in at. All right? So that's pretty much the road I started at. Next, please. And of course, join BDPA. All right? Local chapters like ours, or if you're from, I don't think there's anyone here that's out of town, but local chapters can help and assist you in whatever your goal is in information technology, not just security. Okay, so there's other organizations that can help you in this quest as well. ISACA, a member of ISACA. Information security meetups, there are plenty in the city. Previously, I thought there weren't that many because I didn't hear of them. Okay, but there are quite a few. But I think by far we are the biggest. Okay. Join InfraGard. InfraGard has a lot of great meetings about technology in general. I'm a member of the Philadelphia InfraGard as well. It requires an FBI background check, which I'm sure none of you have a problem with passing. And use social media to your advantage. So Facebook, LinkedIn, use all these things to leverage your job search. Okay. So there's a number of conferences you can join that will also assist you in moving your career forward. Okay, conferences like RSA, SANS, Black Hat, DEF CON, ShmooCon, Hack in the Box. Anybody ever been to any of those conferences? Any conferences like that?
RSA.
RSA? Good. It's good to sometimes before I even got in the industry, I would actually just go. If there was I couldn't get to the exhibitors, I can get into the exhibitors hall and just see what's out there, what are vendors putting on the table. So I would actually go in and network that way. If it was a conference that I could get in, then I would get in and just sit there and just learn. You'd be surprised the amount of information that you could get and the amount of networking opportunities when you go to conferences. Because there are other people who are there that are just like you. Okay? So one of the other things I did, and it's like working so well with what was said earlier, was read books, experiment. You must constantly be on your quote-unquote grind when it comes to this field. Every day I read more now than I've ever had, because I'm always reading about something that's happening. And what I would like to say with that is, find your passion, okay, whatever that passion is, and marry that to the technology. Okay? So my passion initially was music. That's why I got started in information technology. I initially wanted to be a database administrator because at one point, database administration was a really, really hot field. But I didn't get into it because it was a hot field. I pursued it because I have a huge library because I collect vinyl, cassettes, all kinds of stuff. I'm a media junkie when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I wanted a way that I could categorize my music. So I want to know that do I have this? Because I would go out and just buy a whole entire crate. So I'll go to flea markets and just buy the entire crate. I don't know what was in it. I'll just buy it. Then I go through it and say, do I have this already? I'm not sure. So I went to build a database where I could track all these things. So my love for music led me to the technology to be able to track my things. Did I have? Is it vinyl? Is it cassette? Is it 8-track? I have a couple of those too, for those who don't remember what those are. And I learned how to build databases based on that. So for me to work on my database, it was like a labor of love because I liked what I was doing. Okay, so if you asked me to build a database about widgets, I'm like, oh well, okay, yeah, I know rows, columns, yeah, I got that. But if you ask me to do this because I want to see, I can break it up by artist and title and song and length and producer because I was that into it. So it was easy for me to understand it. Okay. So that comes with get your hands on the technology. Build labs, build things, break things. Before, when I got into this industry, there was no virtualization to speak of, now like it is today. Before you had to actually get a server, or get a computer and configure it and connect it. That did give you good hands-on experience because you know what this is. But now I can open up a virtual machine and I can build a lab inside of 10 minutes. Okay. So, but that helps you with going forward because a lot of companies are doing the exact same things that you'll be doing when you build these virtual labs. That's all companies are doing now. My company is moving everything to the cloud. You can't get to the cloud fast enough. I see it as a vampire solution, but that's another conference. So that's that. Oh, learn all you can about the basics. So that's fine. You can stay there. Learn all you can about the basics of technology and applications. Learn as much as you can because most of the applications that you will learn about are the same applications that you'll encounter when you go into the corporate environment. They're the same way. They connect to a back-end database. Database connects either SQL or Oracle. So when you learn about applications and databases on that end, you'll learn, I'll say, okay, I saw this before. I kind of know how this works. It'll give you a better idea when you move forward. And when you get asked these questions in an interview, how do databases work? How do applications work? Things like that. Okay? Thank you. So find a mentor. That I did not do. I was kind of like trying to force through on my own and to do it. But I think that going forward, and even now, I have a mentor someone that I work with who advises me on different things, what road I should take. And we meet like maybe once a month. I usually take him to lunch. We have lunch somewhere, and we just sit down and just talk what's going on. Pick that person's brain. Okay. So ask yourself if you're part of the right networking groups, things like that. Yes. So cultivate your mentor relationship. So being a mentor or finding a mentor is not just about just getting what you can from the mentor. It's also what can you do for your mentor. Okay, because that's a two-way street. It's a two-way relationship. Your mentor may need your assistance in doing things or getting things accomplished. okay, with contacts or leads, things like that. So it should be a two-way street. It should be a two-way, not one way. And next, please. So something to grow on. And I apologize, it's a little bit harder to see. But if you get into this industry and you can navigate your way through it, like I'm sure you will, you'll see some interesting facts and figures from all kinds of sources, be it government sources, be it job boards, all over the place. And what does it basically say? That top title there, information security analyst, that the average salary is between 84 and 114, and that was in 2011. 2011 was a I guess you could say, was a peak year. There were, I think if I remember this correctly, there was 0% or near 0% unemployment in information security in 2011. As it stands today, I believe it's around 3%. That's still way below the national average, which I believe is like 6.6%. Okay? So you can see it's actually a hot field. It's growing by leaps and bounds. We can't keep up with it. I think the target breach and things like that actually show you that more professionals are needed. I think I read that Target actually increased their analysts to 300. From wherever they were, they increased it to 300, but it wasn't anywhere near 300. So they increased them to 300 after their recent breach. So that pretty much breaks it down. I'm not going to go through all the categories there. I'm sure Pat will have something to say about that as well. Next slide, please. So something to close on. What do you do day to day? What do I do day to day? I do a lot of analytical work. And I heard a lot of people say that they're a business analyst, and that's good because you do a lot of analytical work. You should have a very analytical mind. You should be a very curious person. A person who want to know how things work and why things work the way they do. High salaries can be attractive. The job outlook is certainly great. But I think overall you have to have a passion for this industry. That's the most important thing in my opinion. If you have a passion for this industry and a passion for this type of work, you can really go far because it won't be considered work. It's passion at that point. And next slide. We're coming to the end here. So what's next? Stay the course. Get a lot of information about your chosen field. If you choose to go into security or any other technology field, stay the course. Keep abreast of technology. You know, stay abreast of what's happening in the industry because most times your resume looks great and employers will certainly can see that, and that's why you're sitting in front of them in the first place. But they ultimately want to know, where do you get your sources for information? Is it Facebook, or are you a part of groups that dispense technology and security information because you're a group of professionals that do that as opposed to other sources of information you can get, which may not be as credible or true or valuable. Okay? Join BDPA, of course. I know I keep saying that, but there's a good reason to say that because I'm sure that many BDPAers here can tell you that your career can grow if you join this organization. And mine certainly has as a result, and I've met a lot of great people. So we have a database. I believe, what is it, Arlene? It's is it IETF? The database for our resumes. Okay. I like Sanford and Son. So stay tuned. Have fun. Network. This is what we're here to do. This is what if we can't. This is one reason why I like our introductions. You know, Eileen introduced me to it, but we usually with BDPA we're all about hugs. So I'm surprised she didn't hug me today. Not yet. Yeah, it's late. Okay, that's because I was late. Okay, I apologize for my tardiness. It's coming though. It's coming though. And next slide. I believe that. Yeah. So thank you for your time and attention. I'm going to turn it over to, I think, Pat next, since I talked about certifications. Sure. I want to turn it over to Pat so we can finish on certifications. But before I go, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter. and our national conference is coming up in Indianapolis August 5th through 9th. And there are some of the corporate sponsors you see down the bottom that we work with. So when you work with us, we work with you. And that's who we're working with. Okay? So.